How's it going, folks? Going to do a little bit of a mock draft on the Draft Network simulator here. And I'm going to control all teams. Doing it today because of the Saints trade. I'm a Saints fan. Saints trade today, so I kind of want to look at what a mock draft might look like with the Saints now having pick 16 and 19 instead of 18. So for the Jaguars, I'm just going to give them Aiden Hutchinson. That looks like that is pretty much locked and loaded. Pick 2, I'm going to have the Lions trading down, and it's actually going to be the Lions making the offer to the Seahawks. The reason why I'm doing it this way instead of the Seahawks offering the Lions is because I think this year it'll be easier to trade up than usual, and I think the Lions are actively going to be trying to trade back. So the Lions are going to trade pick 2 to the Seahawks for 941 and one of their. So that's the Broncos first? Yeah, so the Broncos 22 first. So you're going to get 941 and the Broncos 22 first. Seahawks have accepted that offer. Cool. So the Seahawks are going to go ahead and draft Malik Willis. The reason why I have the Seahawks trading up and not Atlanta or Pittsburgh is, one, Atlanta just doesn't have the draft capital to be making those sort of trades. Like the Seahawks have 2 firsts next year and 2 seconds next year, 2 seconds this year. So the Seahawks can actually afford to go make that move. I have no idea what the Seahawks actually think of Malik Willis, so that would determine if they would actually have interest in making that move or not. But for the purposes of this, I want the Lions to actively be trying to trade back because I think that's what they're going to do. And I think the Seahawks are the only team that really matches up well. Like the Steelers just can't. Like it would cost them 2 extra firsts to get to 2 because they're so much further away to begin with than the Seahawks. So I think the only team that makes sense trading up to 2 is the Seahawks. So we'll give them Malik Willis. I definitely think that is like not an incredibly high percentage. Like there's some chance the Lions just get stuck with the second pick and take Willis there themselves, but I think it's either the Lions get stuck and pick Willis or it's going to be the Seahawks trading up. So I'll take the Seahawks in this one. Pick 3, I'm going to go Evan Neal to the Texans. I know that Laramie Tunsil's not in their like long-term plans anymore, and Evan Neal's like a beast, so we're going to go with that. Now with the Jets at 4, it's really, really tough because the Jets want O-tackle, they want wide receiver, they want corner, they want an edge rusher. So this one's like really tough. I think this time I'm going to give them. Don't pick again until 10, which is what makes this so hard. I think I'm going to give them a Kwanu this time. I have been kind of giving them Ahmad Gardner, but I don't think that they could take him over one of these tackles. Yeah, I'm going to give them a Kwanu. Now we have the Giants, who also really need offensive tackle and edge. And because Trayvon Walker and Thibodeau are both on the board, they're just going to smash Charles Cross because they don't want to miss out on a tackle. And I think it's like a pretty big dive down to Trevor Penning. So they're going to take Cross here, and they'll be happy just getting either edge. Here, I think that the Panthers are just going to go with Kenny Pickett. You know, their owner is from Pittsburgh. Their owner went to Pitt. They obviously have a need. There's a connection with Pickett and Matt Rule from Temple. So you go with Pickett to Carolina. So now the Giants get to fill in their edge between Trayvon Walker and Thibodeau. Walker has been flying up these boards, and I think it would be a very big mistake to take him over Thibodeau myself. Just like he doesn't have the pass rushing ability that Thibodeau does. I realize he's really coming up these boards, but Thibodeau to me feels kind of like Justin Herbert 2 years ago. Oddly enough, same school. But remember, like the year before Herbert came out, he was like pretty much the consensus 101. And then there was the same kind of complaints about him. Oh, he doesn't have the fire in his belly or whatever. And then, Burrow had his season and Herbert ended up going 6. I think people are making the same mistake with another Oregon prospect here. So I'm going to say that the Giants see through that and they just grab Thibodeau at pick 7. So here comes another really tough one. So the Falcons really need edge and wide receiver. They're going to be stuck making a tough pick. So I am going to listen to the Walker hype a bit here, and I'm going to give the Falcons Walker. Lions now at 9 are immediately going to sprint in the car to take Mod Sauce Gardner. They have some similar needs in like pass rushing or something, but like I don't really agree with this like corner being this low in their needs. I think it's like a lot more high than that. So I'm going to give them Sauce. The Jets are going to be thrilled to have some good options on the board here. So they're going to be looking at Jermaine Johnson as an edge or Drake London possibly as I think is the best wide receiver in this class. I'm actually going to give them Jermaine Johnson this time, even though I've been mostly mocking them a wide receiver at 10, because I think that they may incorrectly think that they're going to be able to get a wide receiver early in round 2. And after Jermaine Johnson, Karlaftis is still a pretty decent edge, but those are like the last 2 that are really like good prospects. So I'm going to give them Jermaine Johnson. Washington's going to be looking at either Kyle Hamilton or a wide receiver. I'm actually going to give them a wide receiver, and they'll get another Ohio State guy to go with Terry McLaurin and Garrett Wilson. The Vikings will now just snatch up Kyle Hamilton. They would be interested in Stingley, but I think with the way their team is going, they're obviously trying to push to win this year, and with his problem he's got with the Liz Frank injury, I don't think that the Vikings will go there. So they're going to grab Kyle Hamilton. At 13, I think that the Texans are either going to be looking toward at Stingley or one of the wide receivers. And they're like one of the only teams that can actually afford to take the chance on Stingley, because like Stingley at one point last year was like a guy that everyone thought could go 101. Then obviously with injury and down year, that didn't happen. That's not going to happen now, definitely. And the Texans really don't have that strong of a, they're not making like a push for this year. So I think that they're going to actually take the risk and grab Stingley there. This one's like, in my opinion, the easiest pick is the Ravens just going with Jordan Davis. Just like that seems like a smash. They need to replace Calais Campbell. They've had Calais Campbell and Haloti Ngata and guys like that. And Jordan Davis is just like a huge dude that can just jump in there and plug up the running lanes, as well as having the pass rush ability. It's just really good interior D lineman. So the Eagles stayed ahead of the Saints, and I think that now they're going to kind of get their choice of what they want between wide receiver, corner and edge. Those are the spots that they're looking at. I think with the amount of wide receivers that there are on this board, that they might be willing to gamble a bit. So I'm actually going to give them Andrew Booth, the corner from, I'm not. I'm going to give them Trent McDuffie, the corner from Washington. I like McDuffie more than Booth. My bad. I'm going to give them McDuffie. The Saints here, kind of in a similar vein, seeing that wide receivers have not quite flown off the board in this mock like they have in some of my other ones and other people's. They're just going to look at Trevor Penning and kind of wet themselves that they actually have no tackle available on the board that they want and grab him. The Chargers are going to be like kind of sad because the Chargers really, really, really wanted, I think Jordan Davis. And I think Trevor Penning would kind of be like another pick that the Chargers super would want. And they're going to kind of not have either of those things available. So they're in a bit of a tough spot. I'm trying to think of something that makes the most sense for them. There are some decent interior D linemen. They might go with the other Georgia guy. It's possible they could go for a wide receiver here, but I think I'm going to give them Wyatt, the other Georgia interior D lineman, and they're just going to be really sad that they missed Jordan Davis. So now Philly still kind of has like the whole world at their feet at wide receiver. So I think I'm going to give them Drake London, who's, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in this class, over Garrett Wilson. So they'll grab him. Saints will be a little bit sad to see that happen. The Saints still needing to pick up a wide receiver. I don't think we'll roll the dice on Jameson Williams. One, I think Callaway gives them a bit of what Jameson Williams does. And so does Deontay Harris, Deontay Hardy. So I think they'll actually go for Olave and pair him up with the Ohio State's Mike Thomas. So we're going to go with Olave. I've pretty much been giving Pittsburgh Sam Howell, but for most of the stuff I've read, Corral is higher on most teams' lists, so I'm just going to give them Corral this time. I have no idea. I think it's going to be Corral or Howell. I don't think it'll be Ritter. The Patriots, after making their one move for wide receiver, are just going to grab Andrew Booth. They are definitely hurting at corner after losing J.C. Jackson. And I don't think that they'll go with Jameson Williams here. Packers obviously are going to see Jameson Williams and kind of freak out that they have gotten this lucky. Karlaftis is still on the board, so it's something to consider. They do pick a while from now again. They could also go Treylon Burks, and they are sort of all in. This is a pretty tough one. There's still Karlaftis. There's still kind of like 3 wide receivers that are very, very strong. They could gamble on one of those wide receivers making it to their next pick. Yeah. Let's give them Karlaftis since they really need an edge and a gamble on wide receiver. With the Cardinals' main need being corner, they probably would go with Elam. I don't think Ajabo is going to go in the first round because of his injury. It's another pretty tough one. I see them really going for Jameson Williams? I don't think so. I'm going to give them Elam. Dallas, being who they are, they're really, really, really going to need the help on interior O-line, but, it's Jerry Jones and Treylon Burks is there, so that's what's going to happen there. Buffalo now is kind of been crushed in the corners. All of the good corners are pretty much gone. There is Kyler Gordon from Washington, who I still think is a guy that could go in the first round, but I think that he's basically it. Their other needs being wide receiver and running back and interior offensive line. Boy, this is a tough one. Well, being that, they made a trade offer for Saquon Barkley, they inquired about the availability of Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go ahead and give them Breece Hall. Breece Hall being below Isaiah Spiller on this list is fucking stupid. So now we get to the Titans, who I have been mostly giving the Titans Desmond Ridder at pick 26, but I think with Jameson Williams falling as far this time, they're a team that has gambled on injury guys a bunch. Last year they gambled on the corner with the injury, forget his name. So they're actually going to gamble on Jameson Williams here. And we get to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is like so hard up in the secondary. I'm actually going to give them Kyler Gordon, the other corner there from Washington. Green Bay is going to kind of lick its wounds a bit on probably not getting as good a wide receiver as it wanted because they took Karlaftis. But like Dotson is still a very, very good wide receiver, and they're going to grab him. Now the Chiefs they're just pretty much fucked. Like all of the things that they really, really wanted to happen didn't happen. So like there's just like not wide receivers that make sense to draft this early. I mean, there's Christian Watson, there's Pickens, there's Sky Moore. I don't love it. I don't love it for them at all. I think clearly the best players on the board are like Zion Johnson and Linderbaum. Oof. They could take Boya Mafe. I don't think they're going to take a Jabba with their team situation being what it is. I guess I'll give them Boya Mafe as he's like the last edge I think that could go in the first round. So they still kind of need to look at corner and wide receiver. Can I see them taking George Pickens this high? I really can't. I think Devin Lloyd is like and Nakobe Dean are like the two best linebackers. Just puts them in a really tough spot. They went and got Rojo, so I don't really want to give them Kenny Walker. I could give them a safety because they need to replace. They lost both Sorensen and Tyrann Mathieu, so I don't really know too much about Daxton Hill and Lewis Kine, to tell you the truth. So I guess I'll give them Kine just because I've heard this name a little bit more, but that's tough. So like they're just not getting a wide receiver here, which is somewhat of a disaster. So the Bengals, also could kind of use a corner. I think that ship is just like so far sailed at this point. It's just not happening. Zion Johnson and Tyler Linderbaum, both just should not get out of the first round. It seems ridiculous. I mean, even Devin Lloyd shouldn't get out of the first round. It's just the way some of these drafts fall when you start mocking positional needs plus, adding that with what you think likely will happen. There's a lot of good players in this draft, so they did already make multiple upgrades to their offensive line. I could see them just throwing another piece at it and just being like, the hell with it. So what can we give them that would help them at defense? Pretty much not much of anything, right? We could give them a linebacker. I really think Devin Lloyd is a good player. I think I'm going to give them Linderbaum. I just think he's too good of a prospect and that they'll do that there. So I think that the Lions wouldn't hate getting one of these guys. They could actually take the chance on Ajabo because of they're not pressured to win next year. But an Achilles tear is just too much. I don't think he's going to go even close to round 1. I wouldn't be surprised if he slips to round 3. I know that seems crazy, but Achilles is bad. So because of the 5th year, I'm going to give them Sam Howell. because of the fifth-year option that you get for a first-round pick. They do pick again at 34, so any of the other players they wanted, they'll be up in 2 picks again and have a chance to pick them. So we went Hutchinson to the Jaguars, Malik Willis to the Seahawks on a trade up, Evan Neal to the Texans, Kwanu to the Jets, Charles Cross to the Giants, Pickett to the Panthers, Thibodeau to the Giants, Trayvon Walker to Atlanta, Ahmad Gardner to the Lions, Jermaine Johnson to the Jets, Garrett Wilson to Washington, Kyle Hamilton to the Vikings, Derek Stingley to the Texans, Jordan Davis to the Ravens, Trent McDuffie to the Eagles, Trevor Penning to the Saints, Devontae Wyatt to Chargers, Drake London to the Eagles, Chris Olave to the Saints, Matt Corral to Pittsburgh, Andrew Booth to the Patriots, George Karlaftis to Green Bay, Kyrie Elam to the Cardinals, Treylon Burks to the Cowboys, Breece Hall to the Bills, Jameson Williams to the Titans, Kyler Gordon to Tampa, Dotson to the Packers, Mafe and Kine to the Chiefs, Linderbaum to the Bengals, and Sam Howell to the Lions. So that was my mock draft with the Saints now having 2 first-round picks. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your future drafts.